Moses' life can be divided into three 40-year periods. 1. His early life in Egypt as a prince. 2. His time in Midian as a shepherd. 3. Leading Israel to the promised land as a prophet and leader. Birth and early life Exodus 1-2, 620. The Israelites in Egypt. The Israelites, descendants of Jacob or Israel, had been in Egypt for centuries after Joseph saved them from famine. Genesis 37-50. Over time, they grew into a large nation which threatened Pharaoh. Pharaoh enslaved them and ordered all newborn Hebrew boys to be thrown into the Nile River to reduce their population. Moses' birth and rescue. Moses was born to Amram and Jochebed from the tribe of Levi. To save him, his mother placed him in a papyrus basket, covering it with tar and pitch, and set it afloat on the Nile River. His sister, Miriam, followed the basket from a distance. Pharaoh's daughter found the baby, had compassion, and decided to adopt him. Miriam, seeing this, offered to find a nurse, Moses' own mother. Jochebed secretly raised Moses until he was old enough to live in Pharaoh's palace. Moses was raised as an Egyptian prince, educated in science, math, law, military strategy, and leadership, all of which prepared him for his future mission. Moses escaped to Midian. Exodus 2:11-25. Moses kills an Egyptian. One day, Moses saw an Egyptian taskmaster beating a Hebrew slave. In a moment of rage, he killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. The next day, he saw two Hebrews fighting and tried to stop them. But one responded, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you going to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Realizing that his crime was known, Moses fled to Midian to escape Pharaoh's wrath. Moses in Midian. In Midian, Moses helped the daughters of Jethro, a priest, when shepherds mistreated them. Jethro invited Moses into his home, and Moses married Zipporah, one of his daughters. They had a son, Gershom, whose name meant, "I have been a foreigner in a strange land." Moses spent 40 years as a shepherd, learning patience, humility, and leadership in the wilderness, preparing him for his future role. The burning bush. Exodus 3-4. One day, as Moses was tending sheep near Mount Horeb, Sinai, he saw a bush on fire that wasn't burning up. God spoke to him from the bush. "Moses, Moses." Moses answered, "Here I am." God told him, 1. He had heard the cries of the Israelites. 2. He was sending Moses to deliver them. 3. His name was I am Yahweh. Moses' story teaches faith, obedience, and leadership. Though he made mistakes, God used him to change history. Moses' excuses and God's response. Moses was hesitant and made several excuses. "Who am I to do this?" God said, "I will be with you." "What if they ask your name?" God revealed his name, Yahweh. "What if they don't believe me?" God gave him 3 miracles. His staff turned into a snake. His hand became leprous and was healed. He could turn water from the Nile into blood. I am not a good speaker. God promised to help him speak and sent Aaron, his brother, to assist. Moses finally agreed and returned to Egypt. The 10 plagues and the Exodus. Exodus 5-12. Moses and Aaron demanded, "Let my people go." Pharaoh refused. So God sent 10 plagues. 1. Water to blood. The Nile turned to blood. 2. Frogs filled houses and streets. 3. Gnats lice. Dust became gnats, covering people and animals. 4. Swarms of lice plagued Egypt. 5. Livestock disease. Egyptian livestock died. 6. Painful boils broke out on the Egyptians. 7. Hailstorm. Thunder, hail, and fire destroyed crops and people. 8. Locusts ate the remaining crops. 9. Darkness. A thick darkness covered Egypt for 3 days. 10. Death of the firstborn. Every firstborn Egyptian died. But Israelites were spared by marking their doors with lamb's blood. Passover. Pharaoh finally let the Israelites go, crossing the Red Sea. Exodus 13-15. Pharaoh changed his mind and chased the Israelites with his army. God parted the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to cross on dry land. When the Egyptians followed, God closed the waters, drowning them. The 10 Commandments. Exodus 19-24. At Mount Sinai, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments and other laws. But while Moses was on the mountain, the people made a golden calf and worshipped it. In anger, Moses broke the stone tablets and destroyed the idol. He later went up again, and God rewrote the commandments. The 40 years in the wilderness numbers 13-14. The Israelites doubted God and refused to enter the promised land. Because of their lack of faith, God made them wander for 40 years, until the generation died out. Moses' disobedience. The people needed water, and God told Moses to speak to a rock. But in frustration, Moses struck the rock twice. Water flowed, but because he disobeyed, God forbade him from entering the promised land. Moses' death. Deuteronomy. Before his death, Moses gave a final speech, reminding Israel to obey God. God led him to Mount Nebo, where he saw the promised land but could not enter. Moses died at 120 years old, and the Bible says God himself buried him. No one knows his burial place. Legacy of Moses. A prophet, leader, and lawgiver. Spoke face to face with God. Delivered Israel from slavery. Gave the law and 10 commandments. Wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, Torah. Moses' story teaches faith, obedience, and leadership. Though he made mistakes, God used him to change history. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on noti. God bless you all.